Hello, I'm Shannon Corrigan, the Director of Marketing for WorkMax by About Time Technology. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar, The 5 Ways to Stop Guesstimating Costs for Labor, Materials, and Equipment, presented by our WorkMax integration partner, Mike Gillum from Acumatica. Mike Gillum is the product specialist for Acumatica Construction Edition and has over 23 years of construction software experience, working in many roles with CSS, Viewpoint, Maxwell Systems, and Quest Solutions. Mike is focused on helping contractors understand the value cloud-based mobile construction accounting software brings to their organization, including job cost accounting, payroll, project management, dashboards, and reporting, as well as customer relationship management. Before we get started, we'd like to encourage you throughout the webinar to submit any questions you have in the Q&A dialog box, and we'll answer those as many as we can in the webinar. Also, all attendees will receive a recording of the webinar via email. Now, let's get started. Mike?
Fantastic. Thank you, Shannon, and thank you to the About Time WorkMax folks for having us on this webinar today. My name is Mike Gillum. I am a product specialist for the Acumatica Construction Edition. And in today's session, we're going to cover 5 ways to stop guesstimating costs for labor, materials, and equipment. Before I jump into the slides, and we're also going to have a bit of a live demo in this session, I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about Acumatica. Acumatica was founded in 2008 and provides cloud business management software that integrates a company's financials, including job cost accounting, project management, customer relationship management, payroll reporting, all in the cloud and with mobile. We are known for leading edge technology, best-in-class business functionality, and we provide our solutions through a network of partners who specialize in and are knowledgeable about construction. 75% of our resources are dedicated to development and advancing our product. Let's take a quick look at the 5 ways to stop guesstimating costs for labor, materials, and equipment. The first couple of slides, I'd like to talk a little bit about the WorkMax and Acumatica Construction Edition integration. We value the WorkMax partnership, the ability to provide time to the Acumatica product for updating those job costs in real time, right? One of the topics we're going to cover today is labor and how those time cards get into Acumatica and instantaneously updating your job costs. So you're making decisions around your projects based on real-time information. Here's a quick look at what that integration looks like between Acumatica and WorkMax. You can see Acumatica there on the left-hand side, WorkMax on the right-hand side, and the arrows pointing back and forth is the data that's flowing between the two products. Because we are both true cloud solutions, we utilize APIs, which is just a technical term, allowing the information to flow seamlessly back and forth between the two cloud products, all in real time. There is no importing and exporting of that information. That information is flowing back and forth between the Construction Edition and WorkMax. Things like employees and hours, project information, cost codes, project tasks, and of course, production related to labor. Here's a little bit about the Acumatica Construction Edition, covering a variety of topics there. It's not everything that the Construction Edition covers, but you're seeing things like construction financials, job costing, payroll, project management, the app integrations like we're talking about today with the WorkMax product. And of course, it's all built on a modern and mobile cloud platform. So whether you are a general contractor, a subcontractor, perhaps a specialty contractor, or an engineering firm, home builder, land developer, all of those types of contractors can rely on Acumatica's true cloud business construction software, including all of those things that we just mentioned, again, on a modern and mobile platform, all in one cohesive solution. Here's the first of the 5 ways we're going to stop guesstimating, and that's through real-time connectivity. The ability to easily collaborate and communicate with all the different players involved on a construction project, both internally and externally, from the field to the office and the office back to the field. Connecting those remote workers entering the time cards in the field for the most up-to-date information. And ultimately, that real-time connectivity is going to reduce project delays and of course, increase customer satisfaction. Being able to quickly update and share RFIs and or project issues, making real-time decisions that impact project costs and revenue. So connecting your field to your office is obviously an important piece of that. And what we're looking at in this workflow here is the WorkMax and Acumatica integration. Now, I won't go through all of the items here, but what you're seeing, starting from the left, working our way over to the right, is the time being entered out in the WorkMax product. They enter the time, the project costs, etc. And that information goes through an approval process. It gets reviewed by the supervisor, project manager, whomever is in that role. And then, of course, it's flowing through the Acumatica product, updating the job costs for that specific project, going through an approval process from a payroll perspective. The financial team is reviewing and approving those expenses, those time cards, those project costs, and all that information flowing back and forth between the field and office. So if you're on the field side, right, you're able to enter that time, you're able to enter the information on your mobile device, whether it's a smartphone or a tablet, and as soon as it's entered, it gets routed to the appropriate person for approval, whether that's in the back office or out in the field as well, a supervisor, a project manager, a CEO, C-level executive. They all have the ability to see all of this information happening in real time. So the second way we can stop guesstimating is increased visibility, providing views into the data that's coming from WorkMax or Acumatica, and making decisions around that data. So let's take a look at a couple of quick slides. And again, we are going to jump in and look at this live in the software. But if I'm a controller in a construction company, this dashboard perhaps is my home page. So when I log into the software, I'm able to see exactly what our cash requirements are for the next 30 to 60 days. What cash is expected in the next 30 days? What's our cash position? Which overdue balances do I want to focus on today or this week? I'm able to very quickly get that in a graphical representation and then drill down to the information behind the scenes. What makes up the overdue balances for these particular customers? Where are we with our cash position? These menu items here, I can drill down on the vendors that are on payment hold or on credit hold. I can get to all that information behind the scenes. And if we keep our financial hats on, now we're looking at an AP clerk's dashboard. Perhaps this is his or her homepage when they log into the Acumatica Construction Edition. They're able to, again, to see bills that need to be approved, bills that need to be paid. What's our cash position by month? What's our vendor purchasing trends? And all of these dashboards, I'll show you once we get in the software, are of course configurable. Very easy to manipulate the information. You don't have to be a developer, you don't have to be a programmer. Very easy to create your own dashboards and inquiries within the Acumatica Construction Edition. So now I've taken off my financial hat and I've put on my project manager's hat. So as a PM, perhaps this is the first thing I see when I log into the software, or the first thing that I see when I open up my Acumatica app. These are dashboard items pertaining to my specific projects, the items that I need to approve, employee utilization, unprofitable projects, the RFIs, project issues, and change orders that are pertaining to my specific projects. I have access to all of that information, even things like embedded web pages, right? If I am scheduling mobilization for crews or equipment from job to job, having the weather app on my dashboard enables me to see, well, there's a thunderstorm coming this afternoon, perhaps it's going to snow tomorrow. Those are just examples, obviously not here where I am in Sarasota, Florida, but I can utilize an embedded web page on my dashboard to see the information in real time right at my fingertips. So the third way to stop guesstimating on labor, materials, and equipment is obviously through better communication, the ability to collaborate, again, with all of those players involved on a construction project. So here's an example of cloud communications are through email notifications. And there are a whole slew of notifications throughout the Acumatica Construction Edition and WorkMax as well, where you can have an alert pop up on your browser. You can have a notification pop up on your smartphone or tablet, or like you're looking at here, this is an email in Outlook where I can convert this email into perhaps a project issue or an RFI, or I can even create a lead or an opportunity or add a new contact right from an email through the Acumatica Outlook add-in. So in this case, I got an email saying there's a drywall problem on the job site. I can turn that into a project issue. It's going to automatically pull in the details from the email. It's going to pull in this picture that was attached to the email and be routed to the appropriate person on the job site. So again, I'm streamlining communication. We know exactly when that issue occurred, and now it's been assigned to a particular owner on the Acumatica side, whether that's a PM, a superintendent, an executive, whatever process or flow that happens to be. They're instantly notified that there's an issue that needs to be taken care of. Perhaps that issue is going to be converted into a change request or an RFI or a change order, keeping everybody up to date in real time with what's happening on that project. Projects is a big part of stopping guesstimating where you are on any specific project. And of course, it all ties back to profitability. The fourth item is automated workflows. So we've talked about 3 other of the 5 ways that we're going to stop guesstimating. Here, automating those workflows, automating the time cards coming from WorkMax into Acumatica's Construction Edition, automating those project issues, the RFIs, all of the things that happen multiple times a day on a project. The ability to automate those workflows is a massive time saver on those projects. And here's a couple examples of those workflows. And again, we are going to jump right into the software in the next slide or so. So example number 1 here, we've got an expense claim, right? The ability to cut down on an administrative overhead and avoid the frustration of another manual process. We've obviously are speaking to contractors on a daily basis, and oftentimes when we ask them how many systems they're utilizing to perform some of these workflows, sometimes it's up to 5, 6, 7, or 8 different disparate products that don't speak to each other, where it's manual data entry that has to be entered over and over again. So that's not keeping everybody up to date with what's happening on their projects. With a true cloud solution and these automated workflows, you're able to cut down on all of that double data entry time. Example number 2 you're seeing here is that project issue we just talked about, like an email. That issue happens out on the job site multiple times a day, and keeping the folks in the back office, the executives, the management team up to speed on what's happening on these projects. Is it impacting the schedule? Is it impacting the costs, right? We can see all of that happening in real time. And then the third one there from an automated workflow perspective is transaction approvals. The finance team is updating project transactions with alerts that are going to notify the project team. You've got this purchase order waiting for your approval. There's an invoice that needs to be approved. No longer having to wait till the end of the day or the end of the week when all the paperwork gets turned in. Automating those workflows is a massive time saver and allowing you to stop guesstimating where you are on a project for labor, material, equipment, and all the different cost types that you have available on a project. So what I'd like to do now is switch screens, and I'm going to jump into the software. So now you should be seeing an Acumatica dashboard, and I've already logged into the software, and I'm logged in, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, as an admin. This is a role-based construction management offering. So depending on your role in the company will determine what information you have access to. This project overview dashboard that you're seeing here is what I like to call a 30,000-foot view of my project. So perhaps this is a construction manager or a C-level executive of the company that wants to see exactly what's happening on their projects at any given time. And again, depending on your role, you may have a different dashboard or view that you see when you log into the software. But on this top one here, we're looking at a cost by project widget. Each one of these items is what we call a widget on these dashboards. And they can be tables and graphs and charts like you're seeing here. But the ability to drill down on each one of these individual projects, or in this case, we made the open committed cost column a hyperlink. So I can drill down and see for this beach hotel project, this $512,000 in open committed costs, what makes up those open committed costs? I can click on that hyperlink and it's going to take me to that information right behind the scenes. Same thing with any of these widgets that you see here. I can drill down on the revised estimate by project or the remaining estimating percentage by project, right? And we're seeing a number of projects here, but I can come in here and just swipe 3 or 4 projects, and now that dashboard has become less cluttered, right? I'm only seeing the specific projects that I want to see. So I just wanted to show you there how easy it was to manipulate these dashboards. Here's another example of an embedded web page. This is just a live look in a job site camera where you can see exactly what's happening on your projects no matter where you are. So if you're working remotely, you're working from home, you're working out on the road, you have access to see exactly what's happening on your projects simply by placing this URL here that's linked to a job site camera. We have customers that are creating dashboards of all their projects with job site cameras so they can see exactly what's happening, a live look into their projects in real time. As I scroll down, again, multiple ways to view and see this type of information: change order logs, revised contract by project, ball and court, RFIs that I'm dealing with on the project. I have all that information sitting right here at my fingertips from this dashboard without having to rifle through a bunch of reports or go through to 5 or 6 different screens. I'm able to access that information in real time right here in the software. Over here on the left-hand side, if you look underneath the Acumatica Construction Edition logo, these are what we call workspaces. And again, depending on your role, will determine what workspaces you have access to. If I'm a project manager or a superintendent, I may or may not have access to the finance or banking workspaces. If I'm a AP or AR clerk, I may or may not have access to the construction workspace perhaps. So again, you can configure the software based on a person's role in the organization. If I click on the construction workspace, now you're seeing reports, inquiries, profiles, and transactions related to the construction edition. So I can drill down on change requests and change orders. I can bring up specific inquiries around project transaction details, bringing up things like WIP reports or AIA reporting. The G702 and G703 like reports are available in the system. The Acumatica report writer and designer is also built right into the system. So you don't have to go out to a third-party product. You can manipulate, create your own custom reports right inside of the software. What I'd like to do now is jump into a project. So I've got another tab already open here, and I've just clicked on that tab, and now we're looking at the projects window. Internally, we call this a one-stop shop for all of your project information because you're seeing all these tabs going across the middle here. I have my cost and revenue budget, the commitments, the invoices, compliance, change requests, change orders. Everything sits on this project's window, and I don't have to go to 5 or 6 different screens to access this information. I have all of it right here at my fingertips. So if we wanted to look at the cost budget for this particular project, I'm looking at the cost details now, budget details now for this project that could be uploaded from a third-party estimating product or through an Excel spreadsheet, right? Adding all this information directly into your budget seamlessly. Same thing on the revenue budget side. I'm seeing all of my revenue budget items right from this projects menu, and I can access it from anytime, anywhere, on my smartphone, on my tablet, out in the field, from a browser, and any browser as well. I'm sitting here in Chrome, but it'll work on Firefox or Safari. Doesn't matter if you're on a Mac or a PC. You have access to all of this information. The commitments associated with a project. So now we're looking at all of the purchase orders and or subcontracts on this particular project. I can see from this first screen here which purchase order it is, which vendor it's associated with, what the quantity total is, the order total. I can see the status of those projects, or those purchase orders, I should say. And of course, I can drill down on any one of these POs. If I click on this PO, it's going to go ahead and open up the purchase order window. And now we're going to see the details around this purchase order. So we're seeing header information at the top of the purchase order. and details down below. So I can see here this line total is $73,000. I'm holding retainage of $3,800, and down below I'm seeing the details, the items that are showing up on this purchase order. I also have access to shipping instructions and vendor specific information right at my fingertips. If I want to see what this purchase order looks like, I can print that PO, and now it's going to pop up a quick view of what that purchase order looks like. Again, remember, you can modify these. Your company logo would be here. Changing the color scheme, the look and feel, the layout of this purchase order is available to make changes to right inside of the system. I can export out to Excel, out to PDF. I can email it directly from within the system. And if you're using an electronic signature product like Adobe Sign or DocuSign, send these documents right out for electronic signature and receive them back into the system as a signed document. If I click on this Balances tab, this is basically a mini P&L for this project. So we're seeing the income side and the expense side, and then we've got columns showing us our original budgeted amounts, anything that's been revised or potential change orders. And then we get over into our commitments. And then of course, we're seeing our actuals plus committed and our variance amounts here. One of the other neat things you can do from within this Balances tab is view the transactions or commitment details around any of these line items. So for example, if I want to see my labor time cards coming from WorkMax, I can click on labor, click on view transactions, and now it's going to show us all of the transactions associated with this project. So here's all of the time cards on this project. I can drill down on each one of those. I can drill down on the project task. And as I scroll a little bit to the right, I even have access to the batch number, which I could drill down on, and the actual time card. So I can open up that time card. I can see the AR invoice number. I can see the pro forma if we're utilizing pro forma or pencil invoices. I've got all of that information right at my fingertips, right from within the project's menu, and I can access it from the Balances tab, from the Cost Budget tab. We can view transactions around the budget side and commitment details around the budget side as well. Right now, we're seeing this particular budget set up with tasks and cost codes. That could be whatever work breakdown structure you want to set up: phase, activity, building, lot number, CSI format. One of the things I can do is group at that top level, and now it's going to roll up all those cost codes into my top level tasks for this project, which in this case happens to be in a CSI format. But again, this could be whatever work breakdown structure you've set up on the project. So lots of flexibility around the Acumatica Construction Edition, what you can do inside of the software. We also have a whole complement of project management functionality built into the product as well. So like we talked about in those 5 ways to stop guesstimating, collaboration and communication, the ability to track what's happening on your projects utilizing RFIs and project issues, drawing logs, submittals, photo logs, even daily field reports. If I click quickly on daily field reports, it's going to pull up the field reports that I currently have in the system. And if I just open one of these up very quickly, we can see all the things we can track on a daily field report. Here's those time cards again, labor and time activities coming from WorkMax. That information sits now in the daily field report. Any change orders that happened on the project? Were there any subcontractors on the project today? Which cost code or project task were they working on? Photo logs that I'm tracking on the project, any pertinent notes that I wanted to add in this daily field report, even tracking weather, where you can get live weather updates that'll automatically populate your daily field reports multiple times a day on an automated schedule. Did we have any visitors on the job site today? Lots of ways to track this information, and then of course, ultimately creating a daily field report form, which could be sent to the client, sent to the owner, sent to an internal person inside the organization. These can also, of course, be exported to Excel or PDF and emailed directly within the system, but now it's combined all that information into one form. And I can go from page to page. Here's the photograph from a photo log or perhaps from a project issue, that drywall problem we had on the job site where there's a hole in the drywall, that's automatically been attached from the mobile app into the daily field report. So lots of ways we can access all of that information inside of the system. What I'd like to do now is jump back into the deck. And you should now be seeing the deck, and I've just got a couple of other quick slides to go through. But the last way, of course, to stop guesstimating labor, material, and equipment on job sites is the cloud. And that's what WorkMax and Acumatica Construction Edition are bringing to the table. The advantages of the cloud, combining all of those disparate systems into one or two systems, that connected cloud community, making it easy for everyone, the field side, the office side, everyone looking at one single source of truth and having complete visibility into the projects, into the customers, and of course, into the business, all done through the cloud. So a little bit more about Acumatica here quickly. I know I gave you a brief update at the beginning, but here's just some example of the types of customers that are utilizing the Acumatica Construction Edition. Like I said, general contractors, specialty subcontractors, developers, home builders, residential, commercial, multifamily, specialty subcontractors, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, concrete, roofing, covers the whole gamut. And with the role-based system, you have access to all that information right inside of the Construction Edition. So I'm going to pause now and come to questions and answers and see what we have in for questions. So bear with me one second. Let me get to the questions. Okay, so here's a question here. How does the office connect to the field? Can you give an example of an office to field workflow? So we've covered a few of those in this presentation today, but an example of that is the time card, right? Being entered or created out in the field and having that information flow automatically from WorkMax directly into the Acumatica Construction Edition. And that's just one example. It could be that project issue example that we looked at. It could be an expense claim or expense receipt that your superintendent or project manager created out in the field, and that information gets automatically routed to the appropriate person in the office for approval. So many workflows from office to field and from field to office. Another question, can you email invoices and or purchase orders from within Acumatica? Absolutely, the answer to that question is yes. From every single form and report, we can email them. And like I mentioned, if you're using an e-signature product, you can get those documents signed electronically and right back into the Acumatica Construction Edition. Another question here, why is a hosted cloud different than a true cloud? So great question there. A hosted cloud is typically a server-based legacy system that you have to access via VPN or Citrix, and that is going to add additional costs to your IT structure and budget, whether it's personnel that has to manage that server or paying for the VPN or Citrix connection. Whereas a true cloud solution like WorkMax, like the Acumatica Construction Edition, is built in the cloud for the cloud. It is a true browser solution. There is nothing that's going to go and sit on your servers. Everything is hosted in the cloud. So I believe we're right at the bottom of the hour, and that is the amount of time that we had allotted for the session today. So I'd really like to thank the folks at About Time and WorkMax for having us on this webinar today. There is a resource available for you. It's a white paper on connected cloud and eliminating those silos. That's available at acumatica.com/construction. And my name is Mike Gillum. There's some information on how to get a hold of me and how to get a hold of Acumatica via the phone number, and finding more information on Acumatica Construction at acumatica.com/construction. So Shannon, I'd like to thank you today, and it's been my pleasure to present this information. Thank you everybody for joining us.